Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Playbook. My name is Paul, as usual. Today is episode 15, which sounds lucky to me because that's 5 times 3. Good even number, multiples of 5. You probably can't hear her yet, but Amy's laughing. So let me introduce her real quick. My guest today is Amy Kincheloe. How are you today, Amy?
I'm great, Paul. How are you doing?
Doing pretty well. Thank you for asking. So, for the folks out there that don't know this, Amy and I tried recording one of these episodes a couple of weeks ago, had some technical errors, and she so graciously agreed to re-record with me today. So just wanted to say thank you for that, Amy.
My pleasure. Absolutely.
So, Amy, for the people out there that don't know you as well as I do, why don't we start by telling us a little bit about your career in real estate, how you got to where you are today, a little bit about your background, that sort of thing.
I'm great. Well, I actually started out in business brokerage about 20 years ago. Decided I didn't like that side of real estate as much as actually dealing with people versus assets and liabilities, that sort of thing. It's better to help people when they're buying a home. It's like a really big moment in their life. So that part of real estate I enjoy. So I kind of fell into it that way, and I've enjoyed it ever since. It's one of the first things I started doing when I moved to Florida in 2000. And along the way here, I've ended up at 54 Realty and never looked back.
Yeah. So, how many years is that then, Amy?
20,
20. Oh, wow.
20, yeah, getting ready to be 21 years.
Talking about multiples of 5, I think that's good luck too. So.
I think, yeah, I think so too. I think so too. I'm really happy with where I am right now.
Absolutely. So, talking about obviously you've been in the career for a while, Amy, you've seen a lot of things change, a lot of things ebb and flow. A theme that we like to talk about a little bit here on the podcast is people who have either just started their real estate career or maybe looking to get into it. It's a thing that not a lot of people know a lot about. And something I've discovered in doing these podcasts is there's a lot of misconceptions about real estate. So, I'm wondering if there's anything that maybe you see as a very common misconception about the career of real estate.
Think probably one of the biggest ones is that you just open a few doors and then go to closing and collect a paycheck.
Yeah.
And that you get that big number that's on the closing statement. That's all yours. And you really didn't do much to get there. I think that's the biggest one.
Yeah.
It's kind of a compliment in a way because I think if you do your job well, you've made it look easy. So people think that it's simple, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes to go from contract to closing. And I don't think somebody really appreciates it till they're in that position, holding the deal together, getting it to the closing table. There's a lot that goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. To draw a comparison, because I'm not a realtor or anything, but something that I got into last year, in the middle of the year, was cryptocurrency, right? So it sounded attractive on a surface level because I'm like, wow, people are making like quick money on this, and it seems pretty easy if you do the little base level of research, right? So I did end up making a little bit of money off of it, which was nice, but I kind of threw it to the side because I'm like, there's a lot more that goes into this that you just don't realize if you're just kind of a surface level observer. So I think I would draw a comparison in that sense that really have to do your research. You have to put the work into it if you want to make it work for you.
You really do. It's something that you can't do part-time. It takes full-time effort to be successful. I don't think it's something that you could do part-time. I don't think you're doing a justice to your clients if you're trying to do it part-time. If it's just
Yes.
like a side gig, so to speak. A lot of people think, well, I'll do real estate on the side. It takes your full attention.
Yeah. It's not like a weekend.
40 hours plus.
Yeah. It's not like a weekend, you want to be a barista or a bartender or something where you could just a couple hours on the weekend and make some money. But
No, no, not if you're doing it right. It doesn't.
yeah, that makes sense. I know some people who have, gotten their licenses just to maybe do a deal for a family member or a friend here and there, and that might work for them. But if you really want to see good long-term results, I totally agree with you. You definitely have to treat it like a career and not like a cash grab kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very large investment for a lot of people. When you think about it, it's probably one of the most expensive things that they'll ever buy or sell. And I'm glad you said that about, helping a family member. I think you don't want to put your largest asset into someone's hand who's not done it very often, because a lot of things can come up and there's a lot of legal issues when you're talking about buying and selling real estate. So it would actually almost be better if you didn't use that family member that's only done it once or twice,
Mhm.
because that's not where you want to let someone practice. I mean,
Yeah.
I know everybody has to get started, but you really do need an experienced agent.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, it'll work out here and there, right? But I've definitely also heard stories of not only if you're an inexperienced individual and you're helping a family member, like you were saying, there's things that can go wrong, but also sometimes it can be, for lack of a better phrase, like a conflict of interest, right? Like, they might want to lower your commission and that causes a rift between you guys or something like that. You know what I mean?
That's true too.
That
Yeah,
happens.
yeah.
I've heard it. So that's great advice, Amy. So moving along here, it's sort of in a similar vein, this question. Not to toot your horn too much here, Amy, but you're pretty consistently at the top of our leaderboards at the brokerage. For people that don't know, Amy's with our brokerage 54 Realty. And you've been with us since the early, Team 54 days. Is that right?
I have, correct.
Yeah. Okay. So Amy's an OG at 54 Realty. Yeah. So, but Amy, obviously, being at the top of those leaderboards and that sort of thing, that doesn't happen overnight. And in this theme that you and I are talking about of treating it like a career and putting in the work, I'm wondering, because I've spoken to some other people who have said something similar, do you think, or how important do you think it is as an agent to set goals for yourself or benchmarks, whether they be financial or volume wise or whatever it might be? How important do you think that is to set goals?
It's huge. It's huge. I mean, as a company, they want us to set goals annually, but as an individual, you have to set goals for yourself too. As anything you do in life, in order to be successful, if that's what you want to do. I mean, I have a goal that I set for myself last year for this year, and then I reevaluated halfway through the year, and then I reevaluated again because I surpassed my goal, and I decided to really push myself to exceed a certain dollar amount this year. And so I put everything I have into it for this, last quarter to make sure I exceeded that goal. It was just a benchmark. Nobody asked me to do it. It's something that I wanted to do. It's personal achievement, makes me feel good about myself. I mean, we are helping people buy and sell real estate, and I get a lot of joy from that. But at the same time, I mean, I did have a goal that I wanted to make happen. I mean, I want to make sure everybody's comfortable and happy in their home. I don't really think of myself as like a salesperson per se, because I don't like pushy salespeople. So I like to treat people the way I want to be treated. So I do feel if somebody's happy, if they tell me what they want, I want to be in a home by this date, or I'm looking for a home with 3 bedrooms, a pool. My goal, if that's what they tell me they want, is to get them what they want. Especially I love it when I see someone and they say, I have to have that home,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm going to try everything I can to get them that home. And that it's just, they're happy at closing. I'm happy at closing. I mean, it's the best part of the job, really. The
It's
closing
rewarding.
table, when they get the keys and you see how happy they are. And sometimes there's happy tears. It makes it all worth it.
I'm sure. Yeah, absolutely. And to speak towards the financial aspect a little bit, I'm sure that's especially important in a career where your income is 100% commission based, essentially. My girlfriend, she's in jewelry sales, and basically their pay structure is, you have an hourly wage, but there's commission on top of that. So I don't want to say it's not important, but perhaps it's less important to set those goals and benchmarks for yourself as compared to a career like real estate where it's 100% commission based. Because if you don't set those goals and you're not keeping track of your progress, etc., it's probably easy to let things fall by the wayside and maybe not put in as much effort as you might need to hit those goals. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I think that's why some people, they get into it initially, from what we just talked about a few minutes ago, they get into it initially thinking that it's really easy and they're going to make all this money. And you do get lucky sometimes. Occasionally a deal falls in your lap and it was easy. That's not the normal day to day way things work out. So, and it's why a lot of people also leave real estate,
Yeah.
because it is 100% commission based, and they find out quickly that it does take a lot of effort, and it's maybe a little bit more than they anticipated.
I can imagine. So segue there a little bit, Amy. So we're talking about success and what makes an agent successful and that sort of thing. And goals are obviously very important. Something that I see that you have a lot of success with, because I had a little bit of work that I did on the listing coordination side for a while at the brokerage, is you pretty consistently get listings, which any agent can tell you that that's probably the harder side to get, a client that wants to sell their home versus somebody who wants to buy a home. So I'm wondering if you, and of course you don't have to share all of the secret sauce or anything like that, but if you if you have any tips or recommendations for agents out there who want to get into the world of helping people sell their homes and just maybe aren't sure where to begin.
Well, I think a big part of it is I'm fortunate. I do get a lot of repeat business and I get a lot of referrals, and that's huge. And it's the best compliment that I can get is somebody who's used me and they can recommend me. But I think it goes back to no, first knowing your market. So when you sit down, you meet with somebody, and it's about being truthful about the price they can actually get for their home. Right now, we're very fortunate because we're in an up market. It's the seller's market. Those are the wonderful things, but we're not always in a seller's market. I mean,
Right.
this too will end at some point, don't know when, but you do have to be truthful and upfront with people about what they need to do, if anything, to get their home ready to be on the market. And also pricing is the key. And there's a lot of stuff too that we get to do with 54 Realty that helps. I mean, we always use professional photos. It's a putting your best foot forward. I think getting the photos out there, pricing it correctly, knowing the market, having great communication with your client. I think that's another reason that people like me is knowing where they stand at all times, knowing the amount of showings they get, knowing the feedback they're getting, negotiating them the best price that possible. Because right now in this market, we're lucky enough, if you have done your homework and priced properly, we're getting multiple offers and just driving it up. In this market this year, we've been able to sell most of our listings for above list price.
Yeah, from what I see, definitely. And I think this was your listing that I saw recently where it was something ridiculous, like 20,000 over list price or something like that. Was that you?
The highest one I've had this year, I've actually had one that I've gotten for 77,000 over list price.
Hello.
It
Ooh.
was insane. It was, I mean, we were pushing the price when we initially put it on the market, but I had a great strategy going into the weekend. I kept an open house there for 2 days. We probably had 50 people through in those couple of days. We had, I think it's somewhere between 18 and 21 offers,
Wow.
and we drove the price up 77,000 over list price, full cash.
Oh my
So
goodness gracious.
yeah,
Well,
it's probably my best experience this year in terms of over list price.
well, congratulations to them and shout out to you for that, Amy. That's insane.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Just for context, just because, when I started working in this field, we were in the seller's market. So this is all that I've known as far as market conditions go, right?
Yeah.
Prior to this aggressive seller's market that we're in right now, what would you say the average was as far as like how many offers people were getting on their homes? Because you just said 18 to 21, and I'm like, that's insane. But also, I don't have a baseline reference for what the norm might be.
Well, it depends. If it's a good home in a good school district, that's very desirable. I mean, one of the reasons that we are this multiple offer situations being driven like it is because of low inventory.
Right.
So normally in a normal market, we're not so short of inventory. If you're lucky, then maybe 2 to 5 or just one in some cases.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like every market is cyclical, but I don't know when the seller's market's going to end. We don't have that crystal ball. The problem is that we just don't have inventory, and I don't think it's going to end anytime soon. The builders are still taking 8 months to a year to build a home. So they don't have that avenue to go to unless they want to wait. So they have to go to a resale. And I can already see from the phone calls I've been getting, we're going to have a really, really strong spring.
Well, that's good to hear for people that want to sell their home. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
So, okay, so that's interesting. I never knew that. But to circle back to kind of the reason I wanted to ask you about this and just to tie it into the other stuff we were talking about. So for people, newer agents specifically, that are wanting to start taking listings or listing appointments and that sort of thing, definitely it helps to be experienced, right? Which is kind of a paradox, because it's like when you're applying for a job and it says, master's degree required, but we're going to pay you whatever, $12 an hour or something like that, right? So you need experience. You can't get that experience unless somebody hires you. So this is something that I would like to suggest and maybe see if you agree. And I hesitate because when I get into this territory, it tends to sound like I'm doing like a promotional thing for 54 Realty, which, hey, wink, wink. But do you think it's important then, based on that logic, for a newer agent who's looking to get these listings to align themselves with a team or a mentor or a brokerage that has that quote unquote experience, has the reputation, that sort of thing, to say, yes, this agent might be new, but they have this team behind them, these resources to help them get this home sold? Do you think that helps?
Oh, 110%. Absolutely. I mean, the thing that we do well at 54 Realty is the buddy system.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's classes that we provide and teach people on how to get a listing the proper way to actually conduct yourself on a listing appointment. We have a buddy system, a partner, so you can go on a listing appointment with someone and have that person that you shadow. It helps you learn how to do it, and that person will be with you through the entire system, or the entire process. So that kind of helps. That way you're not doing it by yourself. If you were with some other companies, maybe you wouldn't have that support. But here you don't have to go it alone. We're broken up in teams, which I think has helped. So you always have a team leader, but you also have an inside support staff. So that makes a huge difference. And also the client's not getting shortchanged just because that's a new agent, because you have the experienced agent beside them and there to make sure that nothing falls through, that that everything's going to go smoothly until the closing day. And that is how you get experience. So you're not left to go it alone and not know if you're doing it right or not, and just luckily maybe end up at the closing table.
Absolutely, yeah. Hey, so www.54realty.com. Anyway.
There you go. There you go.
No, but great point, Amy. And so that kind of brought me to my next question, what you just said about training and that sort of thing. So we did a training together recently where we were talking about social media and branding yourselves for agents and that sort of thing. For people that aren't familiar with Amy, she's pretty good on social media. You tend to do a lot of videos of your listings, that sort of thing, closing pictures with your clients. So I always see you on social media, and obviously it's working out to your benefit. So there's certain things I've encountered in talking to agents and doing projects like this and other things where, even though you might be the most confident person in the world, you get in front of the camera and suddenly you freeze up, or you just don't feel super confident about, the way you talk or whatever it might be. So I'm wondering if, again, not to share too much of the sauce, but if you have any little tips or helpful hints for people that want to be more active on social media as an agent, but just can't overcome that roadblock.
I think the biggest one is you just have to start. I actually put off going on social media, doing the videos, probably for over a year. Joe LaCicero, our broker, he would be pushing us, do videos, it'll really help your business. His big saying is, your crappy video is better than no video.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept putting it off because this wonderful Southern accent that I have, I don't like hearing it recorded. And it's always like, I wish I looked this way. I wish I sounded this way. But at the end of the day, you're just really trying to deliver a message. So if somebody's sitting there watching the video just to critique you, that's not your audience anyway. I mean, your message is to promote the home that you're doing the video about.
Yeah.
And so it was really hard to get started. But once I did, I actually never looked back. Now it's just kind of normal. I just do it on the houses that I get ready to list. My clients like the exposure. It's really good for them. It's good to be, and then people see that you are an active agent, that you're constantly doing business. And I think that goes a long way for people wanting to work with someone who's a full-time agent.
Yeah, that's a great point. So it kind of helps on two fronts then. I mean, it helps the client in the sense that, you're promoting their home, obviously. On the second hand, it helps you and your business as an agent. I mean, you're getting the word out there. And something that I shared at that training, which was, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was a statistic that's like, people have to see your logo or your face or whatever dozens of times before they associate you with the product or service that you're providing. So it's just about keeping your face and your name at the forefront of people's minds. That way, when they go, oh, I want to buy or sell a home, they think, what about Amy? I see her all over Facebook at these houses, that sort of thing.
I think you have to. I mean, you said it right there. That's it. You have to constantly remind people, hey, I do real estate. Don't forget me.
Hmm.
Please refer your friends and family.
Yeah. Your dentist, whatever. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I think that's great advice, Amy. So if you're an agent and you're out there listening, just start recording the videos, man. It's very easy. Trust me. Click record. That's all
You
it
just
is.
got to get started. That's the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I could not agree more. And I kind of feel the same way about this project. I was probably hesitant at first. I didn't really know what I was doing. And now it just kind of comes and goes. It's very easy for me at this point, you know?
It suits you. You do a great job.
Thanks, Amy. So I know you got a busy day ahead of you, Amy. I'm going to just give you my 2 closing questions before I let you go here. These are ones that we do pretty much on every podcast, kind of out of left field. But the second to last one here is if you hadn't chosen real estate as your career, so if you went back 20 years and you had to choose something different, what would you see yourself doing?
Probably interior design. I like that aspect. And it kind of goes well with real estate too, but it's
Yeah,
something I really have a passion for and I enjoy it.
absolutely. It's kind of fun too, right?
Oh, it's extremely. Yeah.
Yeah. I see some agents that do both, and I just don't understand how you can possibly do both because I'm sure it takes a certain amount of concerted effort to stage a place. I mean, I do some of the virtual staging sometimes for listings, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? So physically doing it, I'm sure it takes even more effort. But yeah, I could definitely see you doing that, Amy. You got some style. So
Oh, thank you.
yeah. And the last thing here, Amy. So this is how we close every episode. If you could speak directly to the new agents out there, the struggling agents, whoever they might be, and you could give them some advice, what would your advice be?
My advice would be a couple of things. Be yourself.
Hmm.
I mean, that's the number one. You just have to relax and be yourself. And I think the other thing is as you do business, the more business that you do, never lose touch with your clients. So after the closing, follow up with them. You've got to reach out to them multiple times throughout the year. You can't do a sale, close it, never speak to them again, and be upset because when they go to buy or sell another home, they never call you back
Hmm.
or they don't refer friends or family or coworkers to you. So that would be, I think that's huge. I wish somebody would have probably at the beginning of my career stressed to me how important that is because it's your lifeblood for longevity.
Absolutely. So don't be turning and burning. Make sure you're planting the seeds. To quote an earlier episode, I do that all the time. It's probably annoying at this point, but hey, yeah. So we had Jay Pitts, one of Joe's friends, talk about cultivating your sphere of influence and refer to it as sort of planting the seed, and then you might not see the results for several months, but if you water that seed, it will come to harvest eventually. So
Yeah, it's huge. It makes it's probably the biggest thing I did wrong in the beginning, but I feel like as usual, if you're good, you'll learn from your mistakes.
yeah, I think that's a good third point to your list there. Learn from your mistakes. Don't let them hold you up. So but anyway, Amy, that's all great advice, great points. And that was all I actually had for you today. So I wanted to say again, thanks for doing this the second time. You're the best, and I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Amy, if the people out there want to buy or sell a home with you, where can they reach you?
They can reach me at 813-363-5455, or they could reach me at amy@54realty.com.
Excellent. Well, we'll put all that information up. And that's all we had. So, thank you again, Amy. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Paul.
No problem. All right, housekeeping time. Thanks everyone for sticking around listening there. That was Amy Kincheloe. Amy is just the best on video. I know she says she doesn't like her accent, but I think it gives her a unique little flair that makes everything she does sound more interesting, right? I really appreciate her coming around and doing this a second time. We had some tech issues with Zoom, which is where we usually record these podcasts. So Zoom, no thank you to you, but thank you to Amy. If you guys are still here, I want to say thanks again for watching, listening, etc. This is episode 15. I know I said it up top, but I like round, even numbers. So 15 is pretty good in my book. Housekeeping stuff, social media is obviously at the Real Estate Playbook as always, Instagram, Facebook. I'm going to look into getting some more social media handles, maybe start putting some clips up on TikTok or something, so keep an eye out for that. The website, as always, is the realestateplaybook.com. You can see the latest episode there and or submit a form to be on the podcast, just like Tom did last week. Let's see what else. I'm sure there's something else. You hear this noise, this airplane noise. That is my laptop converting the meeting recording. So in case you're wondering what that was. But I think that's everything for this week, guys. Make sure you're checking out the podcast on YouTube if you'd like to see all the neat little editing things that we're doing. You can also listen, of course, on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, a couple other things. If you want to check that out, just go to our link tree, which is in the Instagram bio. I think that pretty much covers it. So short and sweet this week, guys. We'll see you next week, and take care.